Hello, Meeple People, and today we're going to play Canvas from Road to Infamy Games. Let's go make Bob Ross proud. Hey, Meeple People, what's going on? So, Sarah, what are we playing today?
Today we are going to be playing the 1 to 5 player game Canvas from Road to Infamy Games. We late pledged this one on Kickstarter.
Because no one was talking about it.
Nobody was talking about it. We completely missed it. And we're not like Kickstarter hounds. We don't follow every single thing on Kickstarter. But we do do a bit of ongoing research. A few times a month I watch different videos from different content creators about what's coming up on Kickstarter. And this one, we just completely missed it. Nobody was talking about it at the time that we caught. And so we completely missed the campaign. And Nick found it when it was being late pledged. And he was like, look at this. We completely missed this. It looks amazing. What do you think? So we went ahead and late pledged it. And we just got it, I don't know, maybe earlier last week, I think, or maybe earlier this week. And so we've played one game before. We're going to play another game tonight. And we thought we would show it to you. We're excited about this one. It looked really neat. It looked fun. It's got that sort of card crafting.
Mystic Veil feel to it.
Yeah, like the Mystic Veil or Custom Heroes, or what was the most recent John D. Clare game where they did the card crafting
Darkness.
with like, the pirates? Oh, I was thinking about the pirate one, but yeah, they had like Edge of Darkness and I can't remember what the pirate one was called, but that one was on Kickstarter, I think a year or two ago as well. So anyway, it's got that sort of card crafting style where we're going to be taking these like clear, transparent pieces of card and sort of building up a card. And in this game, we are artists who are creating paintings. It's a pretty simple game. What you see here is just like the standard version of the game. There is a like kind of micro expansion or two in the box, but we're just going to play with the basics today, except for one tiny little thing, which I'll mention later. And as far as I know, we are playing with just the basics, except for the components. All of the components are the upgrades, the like sort of deluxeified upgrades. The glass bowls we added, but everything else came with the game. So yeah, that being said, would you like to know how to play?
Yes.
Okay, so for the 2-player game, I'm not sure how much it varies in the higher player counts. I don't think it does at all, but just in case it does, this is strictly for the 2-player game. There is a solo version as well, and then this does scale up to 5 players. But for the 2-player game, what's going to happen is on your turn, you're either going to take a piece of the painting here, or you're going to sleeve cards into one of your canvas cards. And the way that it works is you can take this one for free if you choose to do that, or you can take any other one, but for each one that you skip, you have to pay a palette token, right? So if I really
Inspiration, I think.
Oh, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
So if I really want this one right here, I have to put these tokens on every previous card, and then I can pick this one up and add it to my hand. Then these would shift forward, we'd pull out another one, and so on. If a player picks up a card that has the palette tokens on them, they also get those tokens. So on your turn, you can pick up a card from the supply if you don't have 5 cards in your hand already. If you have 5 cards in your hand already, or if you simply want to, on your turn, instead of picking up a card, you can build a painting with the cards in your hand. Now, it takes 3 cards. Let me get some, I want to show you what it would look like if we did these 2 and this one. Yeah, okay. So if I already had 3 or more cards in my hand, instead of taking a part of the painting from down here, I could take 3 cards from my hand and I could sort of build a painting. and then I would actually sleeve it into one of my canvases. So the way that that works is I'm going to use these 3 pieces of a painting, and I can put these in any order I want to. And the reason it matters is because sometimes you might cover up aspects of one panel with the aspects of another. For example, in this one here, there's this blue swatch down here at the bottom, and in this one here, there's also a blue swatch down there at the bottom. So one of these is going to get covered up with the other. So let's say that I want to do this. So that would be my painting. So I would figure out which order I want to put these in, and then I would actually sleeve them into my canvas like so. And it would look like this when I'm done. And I'd have this completed painting. Now, I'm going to score for all of these things that you can see down here based on certain scoring conditions that are unique to this game. And that's going to come from these 4 cards right here, which will change depending on what you set up, right? So we're playing with the sort of recommended beginner setup, but you can sort of cherry pick these if you want to, or you can shuffle and deal 4 random ones. But anyway, so these are 4 different scoring cards, and each one of them is going to give us a scoring condition that we will judge our painting with. So for example, this one right here, you're going to get ribbons for each set of these symbols on your painting. So I would look at my painting and I would say, well, I don't have this sort of color wheel symbol anywhere on this painting. So I know right away I'm not going to be able to score a set of 4 or more of these icons here, so I don't get any of the red ribbons. Let's move on to these triangles here. So for this triangle here, for every 2 triangles I get, then I would score a green ribbon. And in this case, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. So I would get 2 green ribbons. This one right here says if you have exactly 1 of those sort of hue icons, you would get a ribbon. I don't have any on this one, so I wouldn't get any blue ribbons. And then this one here says if you have 1 of each of the colors, then you would get a ribbon. And you see I have red, yellow, green, blue, and purple. So I would get a purple ribbon for this one. Additionally, there is not on this one, but there may be a card. Let me see if I can find one real quick. There may be a panel in your painting which would give you some additional points. For example, this panel right here would give a player additional points for each of the sort of stripy squares that are in this painting. So if, for example, let's say that I had built this painting. Now, a painting can only ever be comprised of 3 pieces. But for this one here, I would score for all of these things as I just showed you. And then because I have this gray symbol right here that says that I get a ribbon for each of these symbols on my card, I would get 2 gray symbols because I have 2 of those here. So I would get 2 of these gray here. And at the end of the game, these are worth 2 points each. So what happens is on your turn, you either draw a card from here or you sleeve 3 cards into one of your canvas sleeves. The game ends when both players have sleeved 3 complete paintings, and then you will score all of the ribbons that you've earned throughout the game based on whatever the scoring cards used in that game were. So for example, red ribbons in this game, if you have 1, it's worth 4 points. If you have 2, it's worth 8 points. And if you have 3, they're worth 13 points. And we just do that for each of the colored ribbons, and every gray ribbon is worth 2. Whoever has the most points wins.
Cool.
So that is Canvas. It's pretty simple. On your turn, you just draw a card or you sleeve up cards and play a painting. And that's basically it. It's a neat little game. Should we get to it?
Yes, let's get to it. So, all right, my Meeple people, we will get back to you around the mid-game and talk to you more about Canvas at that time. All right, toodles! Hello, Meeple people, and welcome back to our mid-game. So, how's it going, Sarah?
So, I think it's going well. Nick and I have each completed 2 of our 3 paintings. And Those are Nick's. And these are mine. I have Graceful Complexity over here, which has won a few awards. And then I have Melancholy Darkness, which did a full sweep. Plus it got a couple of extra awards here.
Yeah, I got, let's see, Delicate View, which got me some awards. And then I also got Ominous Revolution, which also got me some awards. But I don't have any gray ribbons like Sarah does. So I'll maybe into some trouble.
Right now, Nick and I are pretty much neck and neck, except that I have 2 gray ribbons, and he doesn't. Otherwise, we have exactly the same thing, but I've got these 2 gray ribbons on him. So right now, that means I am 4 points ahead of him. But we each still get to create 1 more painting, and we will see what happens once we've created a painting. So when we shut off the camera, it's going to be my turn. I have 1 card in hand, and I'm working on my last painting. So we'll see what happens. What do you think so far, Nick?
Pretty much. I like it a lot. I think it's a more condensed feel of Mystic Veil, but not quite the same. It's not really the same. It's just the sleeving is
the only thing that's the same is the fact that it's like the card crafting system, but
and
the gameplay is significantly different.
It is. And with Mystic Veil coming out when it did, I was like, I hope they do other different games with this kind of card crafting mechanic.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it starting to sort of maybe not take off necessarily, but I'm starting to see it being used in more than just 1 or 2 games. You know, I could probably name off about maybe half a dozen games now that use this system, and I'm really excited to see that because I think that it can be a really versatile system, and I think that it's really cool to see it applied to this specific theme. Because I think that it just creates, like, this is just really neat, right? Like, the gameplay is fun. I'm not saying, like, oh, this is the only reason this is cool. I'm not, because the gameplay is fun. But I really like this sort of creative aspect that just kind of naturally blooms from this game, where you're creating these paintings, and even the names and stuff like that. You know, they've got where you create the name as you build the painting. And then just seeing the different elements in the painting and that kind of thing. I think that's a really neat application of this sort of physical components, used this way. I think is really, really cool.
The flow of, the theme with the components is really working out together nicely. And so now we're going to get back into it and see who becomes the winner and the loser, which I'm not looking too good on this one.
We'll see. I think we're not at a point yet where like it's in the bag.
Yeah,
right?
I know, but still, 4 points is 4 points, and that's a game changer in some ways. But let's get back into it. So, Meeple people, we'll talk to you all in a second. All right, toodles. All right, everybody. Well, the student of Bob Ross whooped me. And you couldn't tell from our midway wrap up. We were like, Sarah's got a lead, and it grew. So how'd it go, Sarah?
So we ended the game. Nick had 35 points, and I had 42 points. I was able to complete my paintings, and these are the sort of like ribbons that I was awarded for each of my paintings. I was able to get 1 of each ribbon for every painting except this one, and in this one, I was not able to get a purple ribbon. But if you sort of look at like the purple ribbon values as compared to some of the values of the other ones, that's actually the lowest valued ribbon. So even though I wasn't able to get all of the ribbons for this particular painting, I got like the highest ones. For this one here, I was able to get all of them, plus I got a couple of the extra ones. And then for this one here, again, I was able to get 1 of each of the ribbons. So, yeah, I did well. I like my paintings. Over here we have Graceful Complexity. Here we have Melancholy Darkness. And I actually think if you like kind of look at the painting, it looks like it would be called Melancholy Darkness. And then over here you have Divine Expanse. And again, I feel like that's very fitting for like this painting that I've created here. I think that it's an obscenely cute game. I love how the theme and the mechanics just sort of meld together into this sort of beautiful little creation. I think that it's the complexity level is nice. It's pretty simple as far as like the mechanics of it. You can draw a card or you can sleeve cards, and that's basically it. But there's actually a bit to think about. You're thinking about each one of these sort of scoring parameters, and how your paintings, how you can best build a painting to effectively score as much of this as possible.
And
right?
you have to be careful because you can't, some colors don't come out, and you have to draw a card. And next thing you know, like for one of my paintings, like the delicate view, the green wasn't out, it just wasn't coming. And so I had to take a card, and then when I had 5 cards, I couldn't take anymore. I couldn't recycle cards. I had to paint a painting.
I think that's another thing about the game where the complexity sort of ramps up a little bit, is that there's a hand limit of 5 cards, and once you have 5 cards in hand, there's nothing else you can do but paint a painting.
I think it's nice though for like time's sake, because
well, and also I think that it really increases the strategy, because that means I can't just pick up cards randomly thinking, oh, I really want this one, but I'm going to get some of these out of the way first so that I don't have to spend as much to get that one. It means that you, like, every card you pick up,
you have to
to know if you're going to be able to use it effectively or not.
So it might be some analysis paralysis
and
happening.
Every once in a while, you can kind of pick up a throwaway card. But for the most part, you need to be getting cards that you really want to be able to use.
Yeah.
And then another area where the strategy sort of comes in are with the painting tokens. So in a 2-player game, each player gets 4 of these tokens at the start of the game. And they're not worth anything at the end of the game. They are a tiebreaker if you need it, but they're not worth any points or anything like that at the end of the game. So really, they're this resource that you need to effectively manage throughout the game. And sometimes it can be really nice to pick up something that maybe you don't necessarily need that card, but look, this one has 2 of the paint palette tokens on there. So maybe I don't need this card, but maybe picking it up, it gives me these 2 here. Well, that's going to help me later. But again, you have to contend with that hand limit. So there's a nice balance to be struck there as well. And like I said, there's a good bit of strategy just with these tokens by themselves. On my last, or I don't know, one of the last turns for me in the game, I picked up a card that I did not need, that I had room in my hand for, just barely had room in my hand for, that had a bunch of paint palette tokens on there. I took it into my hand just so I could pick up those paint palette tokens, because I knew that I needed a card that wasn't out yet, and I only had like 1 or 2 more spots left in my hand where I could pick up cards. So I was like, I need a lot of paint palette tokens so that when that card does come out, I can spend all the way up to there and get it. And hopefully it'll come out in time for me to be able to get it and paint my last painting with it. And that did work. So even that, there was even some strategy to collecting and then utilizing the paint palettes to kind of get the cards that I wanted.
Playing too careful. You just slap the paint on there.
I really like that there is like a decent bit of strategy, and there is like a decent bit of, it's a fairly tight game, but I also like that it still feels casual. Sometimes to me, games that are really tight can feel pretty stressful because of how tight they are. You're like, if you make one mistake, like, forget it, you're screwed. And I don't really like that because it kind of stresses me out. This one still maintains that sort of casual feel. It's nice to play, it's pleasant, but that strategy there where you're constantly aware of like, okay, don't misstep.
Don't dawdle.
Yeah. Then that's still there. So that sounds like a bit of an oxymoron, but for me, I really feel like it describes this game well. And I like that. I feel like that's a really nice balance. Like, be aware of what you're doing, and you can make a little bit of mistakes, or you have a little bit of wiggle room or whatever, but for the most part, you need to be aware of what you're doing. Otherwise, you're not going to do as well as if you weren't. So
cool.
I like it. I think it's cute. I think it's, I really love how they've pulled the theme through the mechanics. I like the upgrades. I like the general presentation of the game. I would say the quality, especially because we do have the deluxe components, the quality is very nice. The only thing, there are 2 areas where I think the quality could have been improved. One is that this cloth mat is just like a little piece of cloth, and it could have been like neoprene. I think I prefer the cloth over a board, but it is sort of a thin little cloth. Nothing wrong with that. It totally works just fine the way it is. But I think usually on that scale, it's usually like paper boards, cardboard boards, cloth boards, and then like neoprene boards, right? So to me, it's one step below sort of like the highest quality that you can have, in my opinion. And then the other thing is it's really, really minor. But along the top of these cards here, you can kind of see this little like strange cut mark here where it looks like it almost like got cut incorrectly. That is on all of the plastic cards. And it is so minor, like it does not even matter.
It doesn't really affect the game at all. It's just something we've noticed while we were
I
getting
just
the cards.
noticed that it looks like maybe some of the cards were, well, most of the cards were like just miscut just a little bit. Does not affect the game. Not that big of a deal, but it is something that I've noticed as we've been playing. So
yeah.
I don't know where you can get this game, so I'm sorry if we've like shown you something that you think you might really, really love, and now you're gonna have a hard time finding it. Because like I said, we late pledged on this one, and I don't know if they have plans to bring it to retail. You may be able to find it on the secondhand market, but everything that I've heard from anybody who's gotten a hold of a copy, they've really liked it. So I doubt that it's going to be very easy to find on the secondhand market. So my apologies if we've just introduced you to something that you think that you might like, but we'll have a very hard time finding.
Why would you do this to me? Meeple's on the ground.
Sorry. We just wanted to show you this cool new game we got.
We're really excited about it.
Yeah.
We thought we'd vlog it because it was so cool and it was good and it was undercovered, like no coverage whatsoever. I mean,
there was very little.
I don't know if we just missed, but I mean, Sarah watches a lot of Kickstarter, preview videos for upcoming Kickstarters.
Yeah, I actually watched 3 different channels on YouTube that do Kickstarter coverage. I watch the boys from Roll for Crit. They're awesome. I love their news content. Well, the gentlemen from Roll for Crit. They do awesome job with like their news coverage and stuff like that. And I watch their, they call them Kickstarters, and they do a great job covering like things that they're interested in that are coming to Kickstarter. I watch Kevin from Tantrum House does an awesome sort of list of like a consolidated list of a bunch of different Kickstarters that are coming out every month. He usually splits that up into like 2 segments, and he'll do one for the first part of the month and then one for the second part of the month. So I usually catch those. And then I've recently started watching another one, and I'm not gonna remember his name. I'm so sorry. But he does like a same sort of thing where like these are the games coming to Kickstarter that you should be aware of soon. So I watch all 3 of those. And they all are awesome at what they do, and I feel like I'm fairly well informed about games that are going to be on Kickstarter because of the 3 of them. And I really appreciate that because I don't like to feel underinformed about things or uninformed. So we usually don't kickstart a lot of stuff, but if we see something in one of those videos that catches my attention, then I'll usually show it to Nick, and like if it's something that we feel like we want to back, then we will. And there have been a few things that would have completely went under my radar if I hadn't been paying attention to those people. This one went under the radar regardless, even though we do sort of try to keep up with that. This one just did not, for whatever reason, in the circles in which I travel in, just didn't get a lot of coverage, or if it did, I just completely oblivious to it for whatever reason. But I'm really glad that we were able to late pledge this one because it's really cool, and it's a neat thing to add to the collection. So
it is indeed. Well, all right, Meeple people, we hope you enjoyed this vlog of Canvas, and we hope you stick around for our next video when that comes out, and subscribe if you haven't so you can keep updated on all of our latest content. All right, toodles!